Hello, Cardstack community. My name is Chrissy. I'm the founding director of the Cardstack project, coming to you from the land of the Web3. Today, I'm joined by EPNS founder Rajat, who's going to talk about push notification and communication from a wallet to wallet, as well as from a mobile ecosystem basis that they've been working on as part of their project, EPNS. Can you tell us, Harsh, what is EPNS? What does it stand for? And how do you come up with this idea?
Sure, got it, Chris. So, first of all, Chris, I'm really excited to be here. Moving to the question, like, what is EPNS? Well, it essentially stands for Ethereum Push Notification Service. The name is a misnomer now because we have gone multi-chain and we just
Mm-hmm.
don't do push notifications. But yeah, we picked that name because when we were launching, the only sort of competitor we have is kind of Apple with the Web2 space, and their notification and communication there was named Apple Push Notification Service. So,
I
because
see.
we were launching on Ethereum and we were hacking this during HackMoney 2020, it just seemed apt to name it EPNS. But yeah, now we have moved way forward with that. So we do have to think how to make sure that the name changes to a brand that can cover the entire communication there.
Mm-hmm.
How or why did we come up with the idea? Well, it basically started with us, around 2019, later months. It basically started with us going through a lot of dApps and trying to compare that experience with the Web2 apps and how they work. The idea was that we knew that we want to work on something Web3 specific, but we wanted to work on something that hasn't been worked on before. So people were going for speed, scalability, and security, and no one was going for communication. And
Mm-hmm.
when we started comparing these dApp and smart contract experience with the Web2 apps, we very quickly realized that this communication is missing. And just to paint out some of the analogies, like everything we don't realize, but everything starts with a push notification in our life, or at least in
Mm-hmm.
our virtual life. So when we get up in the morning, we look at our phone and we basically have notifications from any and all the Web2 services, whether it's bank, whether it's
Yeah.
important emails, when my
Right.
PayPal payment.
178
Yes,
unready.
yes, yes. But yeah, it's everywhere. Like you go to Amazon to deliver something, you get notification.
Mm-hmm.
Your bank, you basically, if your bank wants to foreclose your house, you get your notification, which I hope doesn't happen. You should not
Right.
get those
Scary
notifications.
email. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But everything, like we don't go to apps, we just live our life through notifications, right? Even personally, if we are going to talk to our friends, like people say, I talk to our friends on WhatsApp, but no, they don't. We talk to our friends through notification, which transforms into a WhatsApp chat
I
experience.
see. Yeah.
So that was
That's
the
how you
one
get
thing.
back into the chat, right? Like you see a
Yes.
notification, it interests you, tap on you can either ignore it or like allow them to get back in and wish that person happy birthday.
Yes, yes. So exactly. So services, very simply, services of Web2 World, they have figured out that if you are a user, they basically reach out to you and say, hey, something of importance has occurred, and what do you want to do? And then the entire experience of the app starts. But yeah, that was Web2 World. What we realized was like there was no Web3 version of that,
Mm-hmm.
because Web2 World had this communication layer built by Apple and Google, but Web3 version didn't had a Web3 standard built for it. And the
Right.
reason why those communication standards are different is because Web2 version you have single app, single user, and single master client server. While Web3, you have shared username, which is your wallet address. Like you
Right.
log into that wallet address on Aave, Uniswap, any dApp that you use. That's your
Mm-hmm.
unified wallet address. And you don't have a client server relationship where the server will store a secret and from there everything will happen. Over here, it's everything is transparent and P2P. So yeah, we realized that this communication layer is not built, and that is where the idea of EPNS came in.
Mm-hmm.
Took us 4 5 months to essentially put a rough version of the architecture out, and then we wrote to Ethereum Foundation. They basically said that they love the idea, but they cannot say like if the idea will work or not unless we go and build something out at a hackathon. And that was when we entered the ETH Global Hack Money 2020 hackathon,
Mm-hmm.
and we shared the idea with the community, with the mentors, with the judges, and it turned out that everyone thought that it was a needed tool in the ecosystem and it was needed. So
Yeah.
that was how we started the journey, and that was how EPNS came into existence. Then, of course, Web3 and Ethereum community, they are very loving. And more than that, if you have a good idea, they basically support you a ton. And that's what happened with EPNS. Like when we reached out to protocol, seeing that we are building this communication layer and communication tool, no one has basically built it. So we need help. We need your help and your feedback to help us build this thing out. So a lot of protocol agreed. So we started working with protocols like Uniswap, ENS, MakerDAO, Gitcoin, Polygon,
Mm-hmm.
Aave, and now I think around 80 or 90 protocols, like top
Mm-hmm.
protocols. And we basically asked them, like, what do you want in this communication layer? Uh, what do you want the notification experience to be? And based on those feedbacks, we essentially built this protocol out, and we started working with these protocols to start delivering notifications as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the sweet and short version of EPNS and how it came to existence.
And it's fantastic. It's drawn from the community needs and is aligned with kind of the actual problems that projects are dealing with. Now, we know that a lot of times when we connect our wallet, it's an experience that you have to connect again. You have to go check it. You have to be present, especially if you have governance situation or you're like an active user. You want to know where everything is. What are the use cases for these project that you're talking to that are causing them to have this pain point that they need to notify the user, otherwise the community or the overall protocol experience is not as good? What are the main like one or two use cases that this protocol really kind of solves for them?
Got it. So first of all, that's an amazing question, Chris. Uh, what are the main use cases? Well, it actually depends on app to app or dApp to dApp.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when you're going into DeFi, like loan liquidations are such a scary thing that happens,
Yes,
and they
indeed.
happen because the wallet address that is a shared username, there's no communication that was tied to it.
Right.
So DeFi basically needed EPNS because now all the DeFi protocols that have implemented our protocol, they can send notification directly tied to a wallet address.
Right.
And that notification is a near loan liquidation. It's not like your loan is liquidated. It's like your loan can be liquidated if you want to take some action. Now is the time. So that's one use
Right.
case.
It's kind of like
This
a bot that is looking out for you based on some rules. It's not a person support staff texting you. It's really just some sort of threshold, right?
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, this is just one small part of DeFi, wherein you know that this is a brilliant product market fit, but you have to go further. So if you're into governance, let's say your proposals they come and go, and we miss a lot of proposals.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
again, over here, the same thing happens. Like your wallet address, communication needs to be tied to wallet address and needs to be sent to you. So EPNS solves that. If you are into ENS, so a lot of ENS domain expiry occurred in 2021, and the only thing they could have done was reach out to Twitter because at that point EPNS was not there. Now EPNS is
Mm-hmm.
there, so even before your ENS domain expires, you get a notification or a communication directly to your wallet address, and it just gets bigger from here on.
Yeah.
Like if you're into NFTs, you can now finally chat with NFT buyer and seller and basically come to a conclusion that, hey, I cannot pay 40th. Will you take 30th or will you take something else? So now you have communication going into this Web3 world. Metaverse, again, how will you communicate with Metaverse? Like Decentralized recently threw a party wherein they had to invite people on Zoom And then on Decentraland, just because communication was lagging. So again, you have a very clear-cut case of chat or wallet-to-wallet chat. That
Yeah.
can only happen after notifications because, as I said with the WhatsApp analogy, a WhatsApp chat is useless unless you have a notification that goes to inform you that your friends are trying to
Yeah.
reach you out, and then it just solves everything else, like communities, Discord communities you can build on top of the protocol. Anything and everything related to communication basically comes to Web3. So that is
Yeah.
something which we thought was the missing piece of Web3, and after EPNS, uh, that is no longer the case. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We back up a second and talk about the NFT use case. If you think about what OpenSea is actually doing, while they have a marketplace listing, a lot of the thing is decentralized infrastructure for notifying someone that they have something happening on the website, and it's a very much of a centralized messaging stack sitting on top of a decentralized settlement engine. Would you see? Did you see like something like OpenSea, that kind of bid-ask model being done more casually in like a chat way, as OTC trading, maybe like 2 years ago, or maybe even today is done over Skype, right? A lot of times.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly, that's the thing. Like there are two problems with that. The first problem, a very real problem, occurred with Decentraland, that they were storing wallet addresses and email addresses because
Hmm.
there was no decentralized communication, and
Right.
a third party doxed it. So now everyone, even my wallet address, is connected to my email address, which is not the Web3 way, and we can
Yes.
understand that there's no Web3 communication layer, so you have to do it indirectly.
Yeah.
But now with the Web3 communication layer, this aspect also ensures that you are secure and you are still pseudo anonymous. And of course,
Right.
there's a second aspect wherein you have just a chat with the owner of the NFT, and now you're talking. And now you can come on a price, or maybe you want to just swap NFTs. You can even do that.
That's true. That's
There's
true.
no
Yeah. Yeah.
marketplace that does it, so that again
Hmm.
becomes very, very cool. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of the different types of order book, from very very automated ones to some way of to make decisions to some where it's like people just like having a fun time, and right now the settlement mechanism depends on which way it originates tremendously changes, and I do believe a protocol layer communication will make it a little bit much more able to kind of get the human aspects of it. One use case that that I know that some of the larger treasuries are dealing with is the multi-sig problem, getting a multi-sig signer to do something versus holding it off. Have you seen that kind of thing? We are part of the Gnosis Safe ecosystem. We are Safe Guardian as part of their spin-off from the Gnosis organization. So I know that multi-sig signature notification is a big problem. Are you seeing those use cases as well?
Yes, so we personally use Safe as well. Like we love Gnosis Safe, and yes, that's another use case. Like imagine your signatories, you're not calling them. Once you sign, they are notified that this signature is done, and they can move ahead. So you see, like these very small things, like we talk about, or we think that they are small things, but in reality, they are not because they build or they mature the ecosystem and the UX a lot. We
Hmm.
talk about adoption, and basically, adoption comes when the technology is invisible and smooth. Like right
Right.
now, we are just talking on Riverside, and we are talking on Riverside because Google sent me a notification that I have an interview with you.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yes, yes. Yeah, I don't know how many meetings I will miss if the symphony of stuff, including my watch, which I take off because I don't want a notification while I'm on a call, but I rely on it to tell me you need to be in this place at this time. It's an interesting question to think about Google and Apple's role in notification. Obviously, getting a notification to my watch or to my Google Android device still requires that centralized layer of a app developer getting an account on Google, getting some Firebase cloud messaging stuff going on. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. What do you think is that adapter? Does it make sense? I know you guys have an app, you guys have a plugin. I'm sure you try to aim for the greatest amount of decentralization as possible, but putting yourself as the deliverer of the last mile into the closed gatekeeping if necessary. What's your sense of whether decentralized messaging and notification can work within that centralized control of that single pipe of 5G connection to my phone or my watch?
Got it. So first of all, amazing knowledge. It is called Firebase or FCM. So yeah, and coming to the question, so we imagine this to be a very iterative process. So the
Mm-hmm.
way we design notifications and communications for that, this is a purely Web3 solution. But at the same time, we are going to provide delivery nodes and Web3 to Web2
Web
bridges.
3 to Web 2,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that those notifications are like an instant value add. What many people don't realize, like what happens in the background of Apple or Google communication is very much similar to what happens with Ethereum and the wallets that connect to the Ethereum backend. So what happens is like all the communication, they flow to Apple server or Google server and they're kept over there. And Apple operating system forms a connect to their server and then basically says, give me all the information about this user, what notifications they had, what chats they had. And
Mm-hmm.
based on your preference of do not disturb and whatever, it just displays them. This is the same thing when you look at Ethereum in a way. It's just different because it's a Web3 way. But now Ethereum is a open network or open blockchain where you can access any account information and you can
Mm-hmm.
basically display that out. And now you have these open APIs and wallet just connects to those APIs and shows everything out to you. And this is how Web3 communication also works. So Web3 communication, you have this open network, we call it push nodes, which basically stores or indexes all the communication that are coming for your wallet address. And
Mm-hmm.
once it's stored, any crypto wallet can just tap into it and can just display it out. And that is the pure Web3 way by which we approach the problem. And then there is the Web3 to Web2 bridge that we attach to it because, of course,
Mm-hmm.
people want notifications on their mobile
Of course,
phones
yes,
as
yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
Apple hasn't yet integrated EPNS. So for that,
Right, right, right.
yeah, yeah.
It's a
So for
matter of
that,
time. It's similar
yeah,
to when I talk to people about key management on Apple. It's like, well, they haven't yet allow us to store the key, and it's like
yes,
I like the optimism, right? Like I know that we complain about the centralized entity being gatekeeper and controlling, but much like NFC technology, there is enough push to make that more available to more people. I know the European Union is pushing very hard about making Apple a more open ecosystem. Hope that this will happen.
yes, yes. So I know for a fact Google is very much into blockchain and
Mhm.
Google is looking into a lot of technology. So I know Apple will be as well. So it's as I said, it's an iterative process, but what we need to make sure is that the user has the highest comfort. And that's why we have SDKs that transform Web3 notification to Web2 notification. So
Yeah.
it is basically, in the end, based on the developer and the user and the crypto wallet choice. If they want pure Web3 solution, that's there.
Right.
If they want Web2 bridge, that's there as well. In the end, a middleware needs to make sure that everything is supported so that people can build on top and can build amazing things like Discord or WhatsApp or so on.
Yeah. One of the things about notifications that you have the notification overload, or you have notification spam, or like I swiped it because I was in a meeting. What happened to it? So, what is your kind of thoughts about kind of getting back to that notification queue, be able to filter it and make sense of it? I know you guys have a dApp that looks really fantastic that provides like maybe a beginning and dashboard. But what's your sense about the ephemeral notification in the moment versus this idea of looking almost like looking back at your email and finding that nugget or finding something that may still be valid, or doing a FOMO as like, oh, I missed out on that, I got liquidated, let me not do that again and prioritize the notification higher. What's your sense of that secondary, not quite permanent but more looking back type of workflow for notifications from a
Got it.
user
So
perspective?
yes, so from a user perspective, and we built that into the platform because what we realized was like there will be some notifications that are temporary in nature, and there are some notifications that will probably make the way to the user feed box and will just be there. So we have definitions or specs for both of them. And then
Mm-hmm.
again, it's left up to the protocol or the DApp or the backend or the service that are sending these notifications, whether they want it to be temporary for the user or whether they want it to be permanent. Both of it
Mm-hmm.
can be supported. So, for example, an example of temporary notification would be if someone is sending you a BTC price alert or an Ethereum price alert or an
Right.
Ethereum gas alert. So
Yeah.
that is temporary, right? You don't really need it. An example of permanent would be that maybe Gnosis Safe transaction. You need to know that you signed it at this point
I
and
see.
at this date. So that basically becomes a permanent one. So that's why we basically say that notifications, you have the specs, but if you want this to be permanent, that is there because they eventually will land in your feed box or the user feed box, and then the user can basically access them if they are not temporary. So
Mm-hmm.
that's there. Coming to the second question, which was about spam. So the way we designed this protocol was we made it very user centric, which basically means that these protocols, before they can send you a notification that doesn't go to your spam box, you as a user or you as a wallet address needs to opt into these notifications, which is a
Mm-hmm.
gasless process. You just go and say that I would like to opt in or receive notification from this backend or protocol and or the smart contract. And once you do that, only after that, when a smart contract sends you notification, do you get a pop-up that, hey, you have a notification. Otherwise, it acts like Twitter, so it goes to your spam. And you can still check those notifications out if you want, but yeah, you will not be disturbed
Right.
during a
Right.
meeting or
Yeah, it's
something
like a
else.
gradation. There was a famous flow chart of like when do we notify this user if you have Slack, right? You remember the flow charts. If they're
I
here,
saw that
they
flowchart.
have like they're here in the channel. If they turn this off, then they're thing, and they're opted in, and they're here, they're logged in on two devices. I think this idea of not quite centralizing, but providing a type of uh, translation between the user's preferences to what they actually get is a very valuable thing. Recently, there's been kind of many other kind of approaches to communication and wallet protocol. Obviously, the granddaddy of messaging in the Ethereum space is the Status IM project, trying to build that kind of network. Whether there is adoption there, as much as we hope, they definitely created a lot of the infrastructure through the peer-to-peer protocol, VAC P2P or Waku V2. And there's some projects like Wallet Connect V2 as well as XMTP that seems to be picking up on that work. How do you think the push notification infrastructure you're putting in there relate to these kind of more kind of Discord replacement type of use case? It seems like it overlaps with some of the end user experience, but can you tell me like roughly how it compares and how it may be, relate?
Got it, got it. So first of all, I love Status and I love what they did uh, to establish the communication thing. I think they were the ones which basically started the communication narrative, but I think what they did was they built a closed system around it, which we
Mm,
basically, when we came in, we realized that it needs to be open, just like how Ethereum or any other blockchain is open, secure, and encrypted, as well as multi-chain and gasless. That's what we realized, and
right.
that's what we started working on. I think the take which XMTP and Wallet Connect are doing, they are of course very cool companies. I mean, Wallet Connect is cool as well, and I think they want to enter into the
Yep.
communication space, which is again very cool because the way they are approaching the problem and the way we are approaching the problem, it's going to be interesting to see like how everything is handled. But yeah, Wallet Connect can definitely use our notifications to build on top. And I think they have relay nodes, so they can definitely use our wallet to wallet chat component as well. Basically, that's what Web3 is all about, right? You have a protocol and then you just start building on top of it. So, definitely very excited to see these guys and more communication players coming in. Web3 has to nail the communication out, and with these many players entering into the foray, it's going to be really, really cool for the entire Web3 communication scenario. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we def
as
yeah, we
per
definitely see the same composability as kind of like, these protocol can definitely mix and match.
yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. Like, I think what Wallet Connect is doing is they're trying to enter into the chat scenario, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would be nice to see their take on it. As I said, like, I love what Wallet Connect has built as well, and there's definitely a point where Wallet Connect can choose to just adopt the push protocol and basically build on top. And uh, that's how in the entire Web3 is made. So I'm very excited about all of those projects.
Right. When we were working on our kind of payment wallet, we think about, we had to go and integrate with the Apple push notification service and the Google version of that, which is what you say, FCM, the fives. So a lot of developers who go into mobile and understand push notification, that's a lot of infrastructure to build from scratch. So it would be fantastic to be able to, as a dApp, kind of speak to common node infrastructure and then have the user opt in through the same channel with kind of multiplexing to different apps they can do. DApp they can build, they can integrate with. The question I have is like, do you see a situation where there are like the wallets themselves, like the Rainbows and Trust wallets, adopt this instead of having their own relationship with Apple, Google? Is that even possible, or is it something that a wallet integration at like a iOS distributed, App Store distributed, and what is your sense of that type of adoption from wallet providers?
Got it. So, I mean, I don't see wallet providers entering into this scenario. Like, couple of reasons why I don't see that. Uh, if a wallet provider invents a communication middleware, which is already now invented, so it doesn't really have a lot of incentives to do that because the protocol that we are building, it allows all the wallets that adopt the protocol to share fees as well. So there's no incentives, whether financial or technological, to do that. But leave that aside, if even a wallet wants to build a communication middleware out, it's very hard for other wallets to adopt the technology because, there is
Mm,
competition between Rainbow and MetaMask and
for sure.
everyone else.
Yeah.
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 So that's one reason. The second reason is that while communication, notification, and chat, like people think it's easy, in reality it's not. Like it's a very complex piece of the puzzle. So it needs a lot of research. It needs a lot of engineering, and I mean, if you start right now to build it out, chances are that the research part of it, you will not be able to do a good job, and uh, other people or other projects would have already done that. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
incentive to do that as well. So anyway, those are like my 2 cents. Like why wallets will probably not do it out on their own. They are going to probably
Mm-hmm.
adopt the communication layer that works well, and that's there.
That makes
And of
sense.
course, the communication there has to be fair as well. Like wallets, they are going to make sure that the users receive these notifications and chats and communications. And so they should basically have a share of whatever fees the protocol earns. And that is how we are planning to, roll out the entire protocol.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about like the kind of the decentralized node aspect. Obviously, there needs to be services beyond the blockchain nodes that need to support a service like EPNS and different roles of it. I can see the bridge being a little bit more special, but the kind of the relay indexing mechanism. How can communities members who want to participate in the EPNS ecosystem can they run nodes? Is it like a hosted service? Is it something that is something that people can run their own kind of like node to participate in the network? And is there a opportunity to share in the economic benefits?
Got it. Got it. So again, very, very cool question. So first of all, this is a decentralized communication protocol. So that means that people will be able to run their nodes. We call them push nodes or validator nodes. And their job is
Yeah,
to
push
listen
nodes.
to any communication that is coming from any blockchain, quickly validate it uh, through a smart contract of ours that stores governance things. Uh, and once the
Mm,
validation is done, admit it into the network. Now, as a channel, or I mean, let me not say channel, like as a protocol, like we call whoever sends a notification a channel, but yeah, as a protocol,
right,
if
right.
you're sending a notification out, you need to also attach a verification proof because again, this is a decentralized validator nodes. So they have to quickly verify your verification proof for which we
Right.
rely on like a host of verifications. It can be a smart contract based transaction. It can be EIP 712, which makes it gasless. It can be even something which is
Mm-hmm.
signed by PGP keys. And you know, it keeps on going on and on. We are
Right.
actually launching
Yeah.
PIPs to basically ask the community to build more verification proofs and suggest us more notification ways and chat ways out. So yeah, in essence or TLDR, people are able to run their validator nodes. It's going to be proof of stake. So you do get rewards when you are
Mm-hmm.
running the node and you're decentralizing the system. So that's one way that we incentivize these players. But the entire way by which the protocol is made, it's made to incentivize all the key players out. So a while back, I mentioned like how wallets that integrate EPNS, they are able to get a share of the fee pool. That's already there, like that's
Mm-hmm.
already there in the protocol. But more than that, the push holders, like the push is our token, the push holders who are taking partake in the governance, clearing the fee split between these wallets, or even
Mm-hmm.
defining the settings of this live communication middleware, they are also able to claim a part of that fees out of the protocol. And they decide
Right.
like how the fees is split. So basically, the push token holders, they benefit because they are giving their time and they are deciding the future of the ecosystem. They get a part of the fee. The
Yep.
crypto wallets, of course, they are getting users to see these notifications, and they are like the most MVP players over here. So they get a part of the fee split. And of course, the user benefits because now they won't get their loan liquidated or domain expired and so on.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
in essence, the entire Web3 benefits out of it.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think the best type of protocol design and the tokenomics in support of these protocol design is when there's a real value to each of the parties, that there's a real revenue source that comes from almost like, buying storage on Amazon or buying certain service from a SaaS product. People pay money to buy those services because it improves their lives. So, when we talk about use case beyond speculation, a lot of the ones you state in part is the reason why people will pay for that. And if it's people paying for it with real revenue in the ecosystem, then the rewards are sustainable and substantial, substantiable, not necessarily substantial in the beginning, but it can be substantial if the use case improves. I want to kind of like kind of tap into as maybe my final point we talk about this whole general idea of the discomfort that we're doing a lot of communication on Web3 on channels like Discord or Telegram. These kind of centralized parties where it's dealing with messaging not only for notification, but also for like community building. And one of the reasons that where a project like XMTP or even a new kind of messaging people coming in is this idea is that what if this network of addresses become like a wallet-to-wallet messaging protocol? What's your vision with EPNS kind of moving beyond and going into that maybe more social oriented and more like community governance and like participation? What's your view on that?
Got it. So, I mean, first of all, wallet to wallet chat along with notification, we see that to be the future. We basically
Mm-hmm.
wrote about it like when we started that this doesn't stop at just notifications. Notifications have to be there because it's the base point, and after that you can build chat, you can build videos, and so on. But yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
essentially also announced that we are going to come out with a multi-chain wallet-to-wallet chat back in January when our mainnet occurred, and I
Mm-hmm.
think we are going to launch it very, very soon. So what
Exciting.
you're saying is definitely right. Like once you have the base layer prepared, you need to basically build Web3 apps that can compete with Web2 apps. So you need to build
For sure.
Discord, which is Web3 Discord, or you need to build WhatsApp, which is Web3 WhatsApp, or you need to build YouTube, which is Web3 YouTube, or a social network,
Mm-hmm.
which is Web3 social network. And that is where, the push protocol or the EPNS protocol essentially fits right in. Having said that, I think XMTP and Wallet Connect, uh, they are also entering into this foray of communication, and they are
Mm-hmm.
also looking to build cool things. And personally, when we started, we believe that Web3 is very composable, and the
Yes.
the main difference in Web3 and Web2 is that people try to help each other out. So I'm still equally very, very excited for them. And as I said, like in the end, the network effect will define like what protocol goes where. But if you think about it, Web3 communication will be a reality. Whether it's a push protocol, whether it's someone else, it will not matter because Web3 overall will improve a ton. So yeah.
Yeah, and we really believe in the composability. As a Cardstack, we work on decentralized UI and with use cases with payments and invoicing and kind of like ability to make requests of each other. So like for example, one of the key things we do in our protocol in our kind of framework protocol design is be able to send like a payment request, and that payment request is a JSON payload, and you can send that through almost any communicator because it's an attachment, right? Instead of being a JPEG, it's an attachment. But with the right wiring, with loading the right templates and widget on that side, you can have a fairly kind of end-to-end messaging solution, almost like requesting payment from Apple Cash from each other. You have these kind of interactive
Exactly.
components
Exactly.
within
Yeah.
messaging. So we're working on just the unfurling of that interactive components, that decentralized UI downloading, getting the right modules in place, whitelisting provider that can load those modules so that we don't have people stealing funds. But we rely on communication channel being open so we can deliver something through one protocol, but the same attachment, the same JSON payload can be in different protocols. So we definitely rely on protocol developer like yours, including Wallet Connect, to say, hey, could we agree that we settle on a blockchain, Ethereum or otherwise a multi-chain? There's a middleware that would deliver these payloads, whether it's JPEGs or JSON, and then we'll deal with the rendering of the thing because the wallet provider can't write new, payment request card each one, and so we want to provide whether it's iframe or some sort of JavaScript package to render that stuff. So that's our little role, and I'm so excited when I talk to people like, hey, don't worry about the middleware. We can deliver this payload. If you give me a JSON, I'll get it there.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the Web3 way, like building composable things. Imagine if Ethereum was saying that we will just build Bitcoin, not, different use cases, we will never progress. So this is the beauty of composability, that you have those composable blocks and you give
Mm-hmm.
people stable coin, and all of a sudden you have DeFi protocols. You give people DeFi
Absolutely.
protocols, and all of a sudden you have yield managers and dynamic yield farming and even index protocols. And then, it keeps on building. So this is the beauty of Web3. And I think this is one of the reason that got me excited about Web3, because uh, it's like giving people Lego sets and people building it
Yeah.
out in the way they think it's best. And then the community decides as a whole that, okay, this becomes an industry standard, then someone builds on top of that, then so on and so forth. And Web3 just keeps on progressing each year because of that.
Yeah.
So you give
Yeah.
people ERC standards, you have NFTs because of that, because ERC 721 came and then 1155 came. So it's amazing
Yeah.
to look at Web3 from that viewpoint.
Yeah, and what's really great about the Lego analogy that people don't really kind of think about, they think about it's all about building up from the bottom. But the truth about Legos is that, nowadays when you go into a commercial Lego store, that you buy these Harry Potter set and Star Wars sets, and you build a model. It's like a single purpose, single kind of licensed IP thing. But you can take those parts and combine them. If you want to combine Harry Potter with Star Wars Stormtrooper, you could do that. So the thing that interests us the most at Cardstack is the decomposition of dApps into smaller parts and then recombining them into workflow experience that could not be imagined. Right now, when you do NFT trading, you are very, very far away from DeFi yield farming. Right, just on the URL and the UI and the culture, right? But by modularizing those things and having a common protocol, both in the settlement layer and hopefully in the messaging layer, you can have like the rebuild of new types of Lego set that is not intended even by the Aave folks or the MakerDAO for, and that's really exciting. The recombination of the Lego bricks and these not like monolithic dApp, but like purpose-driven dApps into like parts, which we call cards, that can recombine. It's something that is certainly possible. And I think that's really where Web3 will really show the value, not just because it's a new technology, but this idea that the silos of logging into 15 to 20 different websites. Right now, we still have to log into 15 and 20 dApps. We connect, we don't log in, but it's still type of silos that can be broken down. There's no reason it cannot be broken down because the settlement layer has the same wallet address and they use the same funds. It's just a matter of like kind of decentralized and middleware, which is what you're doing, and decentralized and UI, which is what we're doing. So hopefully we all work towards that true master builder where you take parts in the Lego boxes in the universe and build whatever makes sense.
Yep. I mean, we all are building, we all are making Web3 beautiful, like all of us, all the builders. So very excited to see how it unfolds.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much today for letting us kind of get a glimpse into not only the past and the present, but also the future of EPNS. I think as a community, as a project growth of the community, would love to kind of follow and be part of the community. I'm connecting my wallet and learning the app, and it seems like an amazing infrastructure to build upon, and I would love to keep in touch. On opportunity to kind of like get that recombination that happens with the next phase of Web3. Again, Harsh, thank you so much for your time today, and I really appreciate your insight. And for our community, we thank you for your time and attention. We do this every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on premiere on YouTube, and then we publish these to wherever podcasts are distributed. Thank you very much, Harsh, for your time today.
Thanks, Chris, for having me. For all the viewers, in case you want to learn more about us, just go to epns.io or EPNS project. If you want to learn more about me, just follow me on Rajat, HARSH, but more than that, I had great fun. Hope you guys like the interview. And Chris, your knowledge is like really rock solid. So, yeah.
Thank you. And until next time, take care.